Thank you. Thank you. So let me say, and I love you back. And I love you back. So let me say, my heart is full today. My heart is full today, full of gratitude for the trust you have placed in me, full of love for our country, and full of resolve. The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. As long as we never give up, and as long as we keep fighting, America's promise will always burn bright.
L.
As long
Look at the chat.
as we never give up, and as long as we keep fighting.
Oh, they're spamming L's in the Kamala chat.
To my beloved Doug and our family, I love you so very much. To President Biden and Dr. Biden, thank you for your faith and support. To Governor Walz and the Walz family, I know your service to our nation will continue. And to my extraordinary team, to the volunteers who gave so much of themselves, to the poll workers and the local election officials, I thank you all.
Why is she smiling?
Look, I am so proud of the race we ran.
You lost to an
And the way we
imbecile
ran it.
fascist.
And the way we
Stop
ran it.
smiling.
Over the 107 days of this campaign, we have been intentional about building community and building coalitions, bringing people
Guys, she's smiling
together
because there's
from
going to be so
every
many
walk
Republicans
of
in the
life
cabinet.
and background, united by love of country with enthusiasm and joy in our fight for America's future.
She wanted all the Republicans to be in the cabinet, and she got it.
The knowledge that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. Now, I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. At the same time, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States. And loyalty to our conscience and to our God. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation, the ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up. I will never give up the fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations, where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do. We will never give up the fight to protect our schools and our streets from gun violence. And America, we will never give up the fight for our democracy, for the rule of law, for equal justice, and for the sacred idea that every one of us, no matter who we are or where we start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be respected and upheld. And we will continue to wage this fight in the voting booth, in the courts, and in the public square. And we will also wage it in quieter ways, in how we live our lives, by treating one another with kindness and respect, by looking in the face of a stranger and seeing a neighbor, by always using our strength to lift people up, to fight for the dignity that all people deserve. The fight for our freedom will take hard work, but like I always say, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work. And the fight for our country is always worth it. It is always worth it. To the young people who are watching, it is, I love you. To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed, but please know it's going to be okay. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while.
Thanks for the 5
That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win.
What are you talking about? Win what?
The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place. You have power. You have power. And don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before. You have the capacity to do extraordinary good in the world. And so to everyone who is watching, do not despair. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves. This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice, and the future that we all know we can build together. Look, many of you know I started out as a prosecutor, and throughout my career, I saw people at some of the worst times in their lives.
Say it!
People who had suffered great harm and great pain. And yet, found within themselves,
oh my God, please say it.
The strength
say it.
And the
say
courage
that you are a small
and the
business
resolve
lover. I'm a small business. You're a small business.
To take a stand, to fight for justice, to fight for themselves, to fight for others. So let their courage be our inspiration. Let their determination be our charge. And I'll close with this. There's an adage an historian once called a law of history, true of every society across the ages. The adage is, only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time, but for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars. The light of optimism, of faith, of truth, and service.
Donald Trump said he's going to start mass deportations day one, by the way, as of this morning, according to Axios reporting.
And may that work guide us, even in the face of setbacks, toward the extraordinary promise of the United States of America. I thank you all. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. I thank you all.
Why is she laughing and smiling? Why is she laughing and smiling? I don't understand. Even Doug looks more upset about the prospect of a American fascist tomorrow. You know what I mean? She's like, yeah, I fuck shit up. I tanked this shit, dude. That's right. That's right. I came in and I fucking destroyed any hope that you might have had of combating growing fascist momentum in this country. And I'm smiling and waving away, dude. Let's go. She made hints for a run in 2028, but her political future is dead, right? Don't tell me the libs will. No. She's done. It's over. I do not believe that Kamala Harris has a singular shot in hell of running for higher office or running for the highest office ever again. Especially because Nancy Pelosi and many others in the establishment actually fucking did not like her. They didn't. They were like, she sucks. We should do an open primary. I thought it was a mistake to do an open primary because I thought like she would at least have competent people around her to like, you know, message appropriately. I was wrong. I'm sorry, but what are you saying? You wanted her to cry or what? The fuck do you mean? Demonstrate the appropriate emotion for the fucking time, okay? For the times that are ahead. You just lost to Donald Trump. You just lost to a motherfucking fascist like Donald Trump, who was already, he had lost once already. People didn't like him. He was a disliked person. And she's over here smiling and being like, yeah, that's right. Are we in imminent danger or not? Is Donald Trump a fascist or not? Can someone explain this to me? A brief history of presidential concessions. Trump has never explicitly conceded. The thing is, the Democratic Party's like talent is so deep. The bench is deep, dude. There are a lot of guys like Timothy Waltz out there, okay? Tim Waltz is not the only guy. You got Gretchen Whitmer. You even have fucking the likes of Big Boy Pritzker. You have a lot of people out there. You have Bashar, Hassan, shut the fuck up challenge. You're fucking dumb. Let me guess. You're upset that I'm telling a woman that she shouldn't be smiling in this moment, right? That's what you're tracking. Is that what it is? Oh, never mind. Why'd people happy? Okay, you're just fucking around. Anyway. So there are a lot of people There are a lot of people in the fucking deck ready to go. People who could do populist leadership. The problem is, I think if the Democratic Party has populists that are popular, that they could actually present like a more radical, more progressive agenda that would be genuinely broadly popular and a game changer for many Americans. But Democrats also have the likes of Josh Shapiro and Pete Buttigieg. And I think the Democratic Party is going to recalculate and retriangulate and try to go back to the Pete Buttigieg in the talent pool, less than the likes of Gretchen Whitmer. That's what I foresee. They're going to go with the Newsom. Yeah, they're going to go with the Pete Buttigieg, Gavin Newsom, Shapiro route. Young, more vibrant, better communicators, certainly more charismatic than the likes of Kamala Harris, for example. But people who are still going to be seen as establishment shills with new packaging. We shall see what happens, because these next 4 years are going to be pretty important in hopefully changing the attitude within the Democratic Party, because this spectacular failure should at the very least wake up some people who still have some level of decency and some level of interest in preserving the future prospects of the American Democratic Party, maybe stopping American fascism. I don't know. It's kind of copium for sure.
The party that comes up short with the voters of this country regroups, and she seemed to do everything in her power to push the fight to the groups that Joy is talking about, who very much chose her.
Or maybe there won't be another election, so there's that reality as well. Let's look at Bernie's statement. It should come as no great surprise that the Democratic Party, which has abandoned working class people, would find the working class has abandoned them. First, it was a white working class. Now it is Latino and black workers as well. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right. Today, while the very rich are doing phenomenally well, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and we have more income and wealth inequality than ever before. Unbelievably, real inflation accounted for weekly wages for the average American worker are actually lower now than they were 50 years ago. Today, despite an explosion in technology and worker productivity, many young people will have a worse standard of living than their parents, and many of them worry that artificial intelligence and robotics will make a bad situation even worse. Today, despite spending far more per capita than other countries, we remain the only wealthy nation not to guarantee health care to all as a human right, and we pay, by far, the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. We alone among major countries cannot even guarantee paid family and medical leave. We're the only one who can't do that. Today, despite strong opposition from a majority of Americans, we continue to spend billions funding the extremist Netanyahu government's all-out war against the Palestinian people, which has led to the horrific humanitarian disaster of mass malnutrition and the starvation of thousands of children. Will the big money interests and well-paid consultants who control the Democratic Party learn any real lessons from this disastrous campaign? Will they understand the pain and political alienation that tens of millions of Americans are experiencing? Do they have any ideas as to how we can take on the increasingly powerful oligarchy, which has so much economic and political power? Probably not. In the coming weeks and months, those of us concerned, he said, probably not. He's done. He's like, yeah, I've won my 84th independent Vermont senatorial run. I'm done. I'm out. In the coming weeks and months, those of us concerned with grassroots democracy and economic justice need to have some very serious political discussions. Stay tuned. Anyway, this is a surprisingly more critical statement from Bernie Sanders, who has almost always consistently towed the party line at the end, okay? And even after the race is over. So I'm a little bit shocked. Stay tuned. Bernie 2028. Yeah, dude, he's going to run at 98 years old. What use is there for saying this now, Bernie? You bend the knee every time. I understand you don't have the spine anymore, but then you redirect your political capital towards a leftist who does. Brother, this is the impact, or rather the shortcomings of entryism, okay? That's it. That's it. I grade politicians on a curve. Make no mistake. I very openly talk about this. It's not necessarily what I personally love from a political campaign, what I think is the best thing for a political campaign to do. It's more so within the limited confines of being in Congress, how far can you push it? That's it. This is why, in spite of my disagreements with Bernie Sanders time and time again, I still have tremendous respect for him. Dems will not be focusing on Gaza more after the L. They'll double down on the Zionist vote. No, I think you're wrong about that. You'll see some things coming out in the at least from certain parts of the caucus. Excuse me. Entryism works incredibly well. Actually, you just need to be a neoconservative. That's true. Entryism is always fantastic if you're a neocon. They will always fucking have room for you in the party. I mean, look at this. Why is this fucking loser still on television,
to a
man?
movement that is, as Claire said, an FU or a middle finger to the establishment and the elite. But there are a whole lot of women in this country, I think, who feel like collateral damage, because the truth is ProPublica has just started its extraordinary body of reporting about the fatal aspect of being pregnant in America, in Donald Trump's post-Dobbs America. And those stories won't go away. They will only become more of a flashing red light. And the truth is, right now, the conversations women have in hallways and in colleges is about what they would do if they got pregnant and didn't have access to abortion health care, or if they were pregnant in their 30s or 40s and it was not viable. Where would they go? Who would take care of them? And that is a reality, and that is behind a lot of the emotion that a lot of women, I think, and fear that men feel too today.
They have to be criticized as well. If they had shown any real opposition to Biden admin, the elections could have been much different. What you called their calculation to decide to back Biden and be silent has been a fiasco. I think that there was a mistake there for sure. I don't disagree with that. I was very openly critical of that move while it was happening, obviously. But you're never going to get someone like me to go above and beyond and only hyper-focus on the likes of Bernie Sanders. Just as I do not spend an insane amount of time like yelling about fucking what Twitter leftists are saying, I'm not going to spend a whole ordeal hyper-focusing on some of the people closest to my worldview that are active in American Congress. Okay? That's it. That's my calculation. You might disagree with that, and that's perfectly fine. Okay? But I don't think that that is productive. I want others in Congress to come closer to Bernie's position, to come closer to AOC's position. You might disagree with that, and that's perfectly fine. You know, that's your opinion. My opinion is mine. But I am always going to focus on the real fucking demons. Okay? Because the reality of the matter is, while there are a tremendous number of failures that the progressive wing of the Democratic Party has contributed to, okay, it's still, I mean, it's not even close to like what the establishment Democrats are championing. As I've stated before, if 75% of the Democratic caucus had AOC's position on Israel, this would not even be a question. This wouldn't even be a problem. They would have already passed the bill to stop weapon shipments, like with resounding success. Or they would have gotten Biden. They would have been able to pressure Biden into stopping this. So I don't want that from Yabi. It's still a reality. The progressive movement chose to stay silent and not hurt the chances of Biden getting reelected. With the benefit of hindsight, I think it probably did the opposite and alienated the base. If there was an actual primary, it probably would have been much better. Yeah. Nice magenta suit, buddy. You think you're slick, signifying you're not being open about your right-wing grift from here on out. It's gross, but the only way it can be stopped is subscribing at the top of the hour. No ad break. You lost Kamala this election. Sorry, I'm a bit early. Had to get you. That's right. My right-wing grift is complete. I'm moving into the right-wing slant here. But yes, you can support my right-wing grift by subscribing and help me maintain my editorial independence with subscribers such as yours. Michael J. Stern. Hexa B2, thank you for the 10 gifted. CNN has a story titled Where the Harris Campaign Went Wrong. Nope, I won't read it. Harris ran a great campaign. The story should be titled Where the American People Went Wrong. Yeah, we should blame voters over and over again. I think that is going to be a successful strategy next time. Losing with some typically means winning with others and vice versa. Losing big with everyone across the board is nearly unprecedented and hard to conceive as even possible. Kamala Harris lost with every constituency. Okay? With every constituency. Red wave is an understatement. Except for plus 65-year-olds and white college women with a slight gain. Now, you need to understand. Wait, have you already addressed the 20 million less voters? It genuinely confuses me. Were people just not motivated to vote? Why is that confusing? There were two major reasons for why this happened. And I told you it was going to be depressed voter turnout regardless, because 2020 was unique because of COVID. You had universal ballot, you had universal early voting, mail-in ballots. It was much easier to vote. That's why Donald Trump made tremendous gains on his side, even though he lost, because Joe Biden had even bigger gains, right? But beyond that, there was always going to be less people voting overall. But one of the major problems with the Kamala Harris campaign is that she is slated to lose 10 to 15 million voters overall, whereas Donald Trump only lost around 3 million voters from his number in 2020. Okay? Count isn't over yet. Just in Cali, there's 7 million votes. I'm going to tell you right now, you don't want to look at those numbers. Okay? It's going to take a long time for the California votes to come in. I'm telling you right now, you are probably going to be shocked at what comes out of California. Not saying that, like, Kamala Harris is going to lose California or some shit, but simply stating that there are around 5 to 6 million, I believe, Republican voters in the state of California. This number is so large that it's larger than the number of Republican voters in like 3 red states combined. Okay? So obviously, it's impossible to make up for 5 million extra votes. 5 million extra votes that the Democrats had over the Republicans in the state of California in 2020. Having said that, however, the numbers and Trump's popularity in California will shock you. Yeah. Biden won California by 30% in 2020. Harris is leading by 17% currently, with 58% reported. Anyway. So yeah, that's another aspect of this. But what's really important is what people are not looking at. Okay, what people are looking at and what people are not looking at is very frustrating. On MSNBC, Joe Scarborough is blaming Trump's win on progressives for using pronouns. And now he's blaming anti-genocide protests on college campuses. And now Chris Matthews is saying that Democrats lost because they let in millions of migrants into the country. This rhetoric is indistinguishable from Fox News. Matthews is now saying America would only elect a woman who was more hawkish on war, as opposed to Harris, who said she wanted the most lethal military. Louise Jordan on it. But, I mean, I guess he's right, by the way. Chris Matthews is right on that, just so you know. It's just that it wouldn't be a Democrat. America is more likely to elect a woman president that is a Republican. Like more hawkish on war. Like Nikki Haley would have fucking wiped the table. Louise Jordan on MSNBC, the progressive era has to end if the Democrats want to win again. Tim Nichols of The Atlantic on MSNBC, you're going to see America AWOL as the leader of the free world. Anyway, in the upcoming days, I will have more guests on the broadcast from many different backgrounds. I already have a bunch of journalists reaching out, wanting quotes about a litany of different things that I called out. And you'll start seeing those. I gave an interview to the Wired this morning. I'm sure that'll be coming out soon. And I will have some guests on to analyze what took place. Are you free today? But yeah. Become the next 13 Keys guy? No, I'm not a fucking quack. That's the problem. Democrats and independents asked if they are more or less likely to vote for Harris if she pledges to withhold more weapons to Israel. Pennsylvania, 34% more likely, 7% less. Georgia, 39% more likely versus 5% less likely. Arizona, 35% more likely versus 5% less likely. And yeah, when I say I'm going to have interviews with people, I'm going to conduct interviews with people, I also mean people who are Trump supporters, including but not limited to Bradley Martin, maybe even Faze Banks once again. We will also have conversations with American politicians that are on the progressive side of the Democratic Party and the frustrations that they have and what the next steps are in order to make the Democratic Party a competent fighter against Republican fascism. Okay? The grifting starts, huh? Yeah. I'm going to have Bradley Martin on to agree with him on everything. I'm just going to fucking advocate for things that I'm diametrically opposed to all of a sudden out of nowhere. Yeah. We will also talk about the many different damaging policies that the Republican Party has presented throughout this campaign. And also, we will talk about what that means for the future of America. Hassan bringing Republicans to the table? Yeah, I mean, but for now, let's look at what the fucking Democratic Party is saying.
The mandate has won the national popular vote for the first time for a Republican for the first time since 2004.
Taking down a panel of woke CNN hosts.
This is a big deal. This isn't backing into the office. This is a mandate to do what you said you were going to do. Get the economy working again for regular working class Americans. Fix immigration. Try to get crime under control. Try to reduce the chaos in the world. This is a mandate from the American people to do that. I think I'm interpreting the results tonight as the revenge of just the regular old working class American, the anonymous American who has been crushed insulted, condescended to?
Yawn. Look, the regular old American that has been insulted and condescended to, there is some truth to that. He's the worst person to say it. The truth of that still comes from the fact that the top line messaging to regular working class Americans is that, like, stick around, things are fine. Okay. Oh, here, incredible moment of
how much success Donald Trump had with
Mike Barbaro trying to give him an off ramp from calling something racist and me being like, no, I actually mean racist.
Of voting blocks that, as Lisa, you just pointed out, Democrats had long believed.
I know, man. Friends of the show are popping off.
We're going to remain loyal to them.
But why?
But why?
Why? Why did they believe that? Like, that evidence has been
we know the
clear
answer
about
to
the
that.
drop off for a long time, right? Like,
Yeah.
we've had 2012, we've had 2016, we've had 2020. Like, we've actually had a lot of evidence to say that the demographic destiny undertone is one that is a faulty premise. The fact that they're holding on to the Obama era, in my opinion, is a racist assumption.
Yeah, 100%. The idea that, like, the demographics is destiny is the age-old adage that, like, both parties have deluded themselves into believing. Republicans believe it offensively, right? Where they say, oh, you want Mexicans to go and live in swing states, so they fucking vote Democrat, right? And you have that exact same principle on the Democratic Party side, where it's like, come on, Latinos, vote for us. The fuck? The other side is racist. And they're still running that route, not realizing that, like, a lot of the Hispanic population in the United States of America see themselves as white. Okay? They are firmly within the white category. They might not look white, but they vote white, okay? In increasingly larger numbers. There is no like demographics of destiny. That's why I always laugh when fucking Republicans are like, oh, immigrants are coming over the border to fucking vote Democrat. I'm like, what are you talking about? Look at Texas. The fuck? Look at Texas. The fuck do you mean? Part of that, and I have consistently talked about this issue. Part of that is because Latino voters in Texas, and there's so much polling on this, okay? Latino voters in the state of Texas, Hispanic voters in the state of Texas, like social safety nets. They like it across the board. Even older Latino voters want more government spending, okay? Plenty of them have revolutionary backgrounds from the countries they came from. They're union organizers. They have a leftist slant on fiscal policy, on issues that pertain to the economy. On the other hand, they also sometimes happen to be more socially conservative. So if one party, the Republican Party, just says, yeah, we're not going to do anything on the fiscal policy front, but we'll ham on the social conservatism, and the other party doesn't do a single damn thing about it at all and just simply goes, harm reduction, harm reduction, harm reduction. Those guys are racist. They'll be racist to you. Vote for us. That has been a demonstrable fucking failure for the Latino voters in Texas. And that has always been a failure. This is why I always have hyper-focused on the Texas Latino GOP outreach. The Republican Party has nationalized that at this point. Okay? If one side is saying, hey, you don't like abortion, you don't like the gay stuff, okay, I got you. Yeah, we'll fuck them up. And the other side is basically saying, no, you don't understand. These guys are racist. Don't vote for them. Please vote for us instead. Without offering this base of support, any reliable ways of improving their material conditions, looking at what they're hurting on and saying, I got you. I'm going to do more social safety nets for you. Okay, I'm going to do it for everybody, and you're going to benefit from it. Then, yeah, slowly but surely, Republicans are going to pick apart that base. And they have. They did it so successfully in the state of Texas. And now they're doing it everywhere else. To simply say, oh, it's because these guys are just uneducated. That's not enough. Okay? To simply state like, oh, these guys are just like too stupid. That's not enough. That's dumb as fuck. You don't win elections that way, right? You don't. Everyone's stupid. We're in America, okay? I'm fucking stupid. We're all stupid, but we all vote. And it's pretty basic stuff. That's a coherent narrative, yeah, but nah. It's not only a coherent narrative, but I'm also giving you evidence, okay? And when the YouTube video comes out, I'm certain that my editors will place all of the fucking data points that I'm speaking to. I'm pulling this shit off the top dome. But that is the reality, okay? What is this? If Kamala ends up winning, the entire far left, the commies, tankies, the Hamas supporters, etc., need to be fucking jettisoned from the party. We don't need them to win elections. We can turn out our own base, and they are an absolute fucking cancer to be associated with. Yeah, well, this mentality, unfortunately, is broadly represented within the establishment Democrats, and that is the reason why they lost. The reason why they lost is because they hemorrhaged their base of support. Many people just simply didn't go out and vote. Why? Because they ran on harm reduction narratives. Harm reduction is not good for turnout. Okay? That's it. That's it. You cannot try to redefine the Democratic Party's base of support. If you only focus on the Liz Cheney constituency that literally does not exist, okay, then yeah, you're going to lose 14 million fucking voters. Some of them are going to take it one step further and go to the fucking right. They're going to be like, fuck this shit. I'm mad. I'm mad at the Democratic Party. They never fucking respond to my interests at all. Fuck these guys. I'm angry. At least those guys on the other side, on the Republican side, are saying I'm right to be angry. And then they're pointing my anger at something that is entirely irrelevant, you know, a red herring. Democrats picking Joe Biden over Bernie Sanders in 2020 when a map of donations looked like this is what guaranteed a Trump win in 2024. I mean, yeah, that too. The Liz Cheney part exists. It exists. That's just silly. You gotta be kidding, right? It went up 1%. Oh. It didn't, by the way. No. The Kamala Harris campaign lost more Republican voters. It actually went down by 1%. So you're not even right on that. You're literally wrong. It went down by 1%, not went up by 1%.
I don't say that word like, I don't mean it like in a capital R way, but I mean it in like
a race-based assumption.
I mean, I think I would say lowercase racist. I would say that there is an assumption that it was a failure of imagination, that it couldn't be true.
I hear you. But I think there is a sense of like, yes, we saw this drumbeat coming. We saw that more people were identifying as Republicans and like all these polls. We saw that Democrats had moved towards the more conservative position on issues like immigration.
We saw that representation did not motivate
we
people
saw
of
that
color.
Representation isn't enough. But at the same
You're saying
time,
having a black candidate.
People don't vote just on representation.
There's another half of this, though, which is that Democrats lost sight of why they were winning voters like this in the first place.
Thank you. Preach.
And
which is?
Well, one reason that I think is worth mentioning is the economy and helping working people against the establishment and corporations.
Yeah. Yeah, but hey, let's not listen. Let's not listen to these guys. Also, I hate to do this, but it's the 5 time. You're going to watch Buttfeld do victory laps with Jesse Waters.
Peaceful transition after calling everyone misogynist, racist, speciest, fascist, convicted felon, you know. But I'm going to
Isn't it funny that what they're saying is identical to what MSNBC is saying, by the way? Pay close attention to the Republican sentiment here.
If
Important
Trump
lessons to
wins,
be
the
learned.
historians will be banned.
I already imprisoned one in my basement.
Jessica, you've had some time to reflect as well. We had some comments from you throughout the 24 hours. Where are you right now?
I am here, living unburdened by what has been and with the promise of the future. Congratulations to President-elect Donald Trump and to those of you at the table who were supportive. I think that there have been a good amount of Democrats who have understood what this was, which was not only a repudiation of the Biden administration, which Vice President Harris is part of, but the way the Democratic Party has been doing business the last 2 cycles. And a lot of the lessons that should have been learned from Hillary Clinton's loss were not learned now. And the 2020 election was an aberration election because it was a COVID one. And I think that you're right, Judge, about this being leftover from COVID, but not about people thinking about lockdowns, but about inflation. That was one of the residues of all of this, and that telling people, well, now it's 2.5%, so you should be thankful for that, is not enough when their necessities still cost more. The 70% on the wrong track, those are on almost impossible threshold to surmount. But I've been thinking about this kind of in 2 buckets, that we had policy failures and we had personality failures. So policy failures, I think particularly on the cost of living, inflation, and especially on the border, and that there was never a good answer for that. And I'm not saying it would be impossible to have made the gap, certainly she would never have been on top, but we could have made the gap smaller on that by just being an honest broker about what happened. What was the rationale for pulling back a lot of Trump's executive actions and not doing anything? Yep. And then on personality failures, there was a prison guard who was being interviewed this morning, voted Clinton, Biden, now Trump.
This is unacceptable.
Well,
Bernie Sanders in his career many times said immigrants coming to America were lowering wages, taking American jobs. So think about that context when reading this, and it paints quite an interesting story.
And
that's
when
so
you
nasty.
Constantly harp on, and I am guilty of this myself, well, the college educated, well,
the Democrats need to fucking purge these freaks from their ranks. I'm sorry. If you're the type of person that looks at like populist messaging and says, no, not for me, thanks, you need to be out. You need to be cut out. You need to be excised like the aberration that you are. You are a fucking loser.
47%.
And you are the reason why the Democrats lose.
Only 32% thought he was too conservative.
And don't forget that the administration played Gigi on immigration every day from the podium and from the at the White House and Department of Homeland Security. Secretary Mayorkas said the border is closed. And you'd ask Bill Melugin, any other reporters down there with you at the border? Not a single one. And they paid a price.
And you know what? It really is to Fox's credit that Bill Melugin was down there, because nobody else was talking about it.
Yep, and Griff Jenkins, let's give him a little credit.
Yeah, Griff too.
Griff and everybody else that was down there. All right, up next, what took so long? Kamala Harris under fire for delaying her concession speech.
Do you think we still should support the Democratic Party? I mean, listen, it's just entirely dependent on what the Democratic Party does going forward. I don't have a belief that the Democratic Party is going to do anything but fucking shore up the ranks. Okay? I do think that the big Latino shift right happened after the liberals stopped using Latinx. Oh no, we got the Latinx truthers. Dijon Dickler, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. Scary times ahead. Here's what Connor said. For the past year, I've been pretty vocal in my content about the state of the world, hoping to prevent what is now our reality. I saw it coming, yet I still feel numb. Escapism through humor feels like all I can provide, and maybe there's value to that, but it doesn't alleviate the hopeless feeling of not being able to do enough. I'm sorry to everyone who's hurting and afraid today. I can't imagine what it's like for some of you. To the women, trans folk, minorities, and more who look to me for an escape. I wish I could provide more, but you can't give up. There's a genocide ongoing in Gaza and the West Bank that our leaders are complacent in. We can't give up on them. We can't be quiet. For those celebrating the results, I get it. There's a solace to the ignorance that the right is providing. People I love deeply have fallen for it too. It turns hate and ignorance into safety and assurance. I just ask you continue to pay attention and learn from what's to come. What matters most is staying involved, being vocal, paying attention, and never give up. If I have kids someday, I don't want there to be any worry that I was complacent in this time, so I won't be for them, for Palestine, for the LGBT community, for everyone. I'll continue to highlight the absurdity of our world through humor and give an escape to those who need it. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Nate Shot was roasting you last night. Dude, that's my favorite thing. I welcome this a lot from people who like don't know their ass from their elbow in terms of political content and political commentary. Like, I like when people get like confident, you know what I mean, about their personal perspective. When they just have like when they just have like a pop off moment, like it's great. Yeah, go ahead, man. I'm always, and I like Nate Shot. Always willing to talk to him about this sort of thing. Are you a cult leader? This is a cult. Yeah, dude. Yeah, we are a cult. We believe in human rights, civil liberties for all. You know, Medicare for all. Real scary cult here. You know how it is. Statement. Oh yeah, I don't even want to fucking read the Obama statement, man. The old bungler. All right, let's get back to this fucking loser.
They're not garbage. They're not Nazis. They're just regular people who get up and go to work every day and are trying to make a better life for their kids, and they feel like they have been told to just shut up when they have complained about the things that are hurting them in their own lives. I also feel like this election, as we sit here and pour over this tonight, is something of an indictment of the political information complex. I mean, we've been sitting around here for the last couple of weeks, and the story that was portrayed was not.
Calling people Nazis and fascists where idiots lost a ton of votes. You just act like you know politics. I know. It's just weird because like a lot of the things that I have been railing on against the Democratic Party has been, you know, proven to be completely true. So I don't really know. I do know this. You know, maybe I'm lucky. I don't know. Maybe I just like luck into these positions, but like I'd rather be fucking correct and lucky than I guess be unlucky and incorrect. But overall, calling people Nazis and fascists where you idiots lost a ton of votes is fucking stupid. I think the major problem was that on the one hand, Kamala Harris at the last ditch went for the Trump is a fascist route, while simultaneously moderates see your content and say, I want no part of that is what I'm saying. Okay, brother. You're right. The mythical moderate is out there going, actually, we shouldn't have Medicare for all. Is that, I'm going to ask you this, balls in your pit. Do you want free health care? And before you say, it ain't free, brother. Okay. It ain't fucking free, brother. I know. Okay. Do you want Medicare for all in this country? Something that every other OECD nation has been able to provide to its citizens unconditionally. Would you like that? I hope you can answer my question. The same thing happened in the 80s with Reagan. The left went far too left. The left didn't recover until Bill Clinton. What the fuck are you talking about? The left with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was a disastrous failure. He absolutely facilitated the destruction of the left in and of itself. Answer my question. Do you want health care? Do you think that it would be nice to have free health care provided by the government that every single other OECD nation is able to provide to its citizens unconditionally? Answer my question instead of talking about fucking Bill Clinton, Mr. Diddler himself, Jeffrey Epstein's bestie. Anyway, while you're entertaining the notion of whether you agree with fucking free healthcare or not, the reason why I'm asking you that is because there is no like moderate person or even right-wing person that when faced with those odds would go, nah, I don't want it, not for me, unless they're like so ideologically committed. Our healthcare system is broken. It needs reform. Yes. How to fix it? I have no idea. Great. Good start. Okay. I have an idea. It's called Medicare for All. It's called, taxpayer funded healthcare for every single person. Instead of paying these taxes to private corporations, you can pay it to a massive fucking insurance pool in the form of your taxes. You would actually end up paying less in taxes overall. People like myself might actually end up paying more in taxes, but that's fine. I'm happy to do so, especially if we are healing this country. That's number one. Now, notice how, regardless of our political disagreements, you immediately agree with that. A lot of people do. The issue is the Democrats are not saying that. The Democrats are not presenting that as an alternative. That's the problem. And in terms of like moderates, I don't think any moderate would look to what I just had to say and turn around and go, not for me. No, thank you. There is no real, like, I'm right down fucking smack dab in the center of things type moderates. That's not a real thing. People have a litany of issues that they care about, okay? And on some of those issues, they might even be considered a radical progressive. They're not so radical after all when you adjust it to the rest of the world, right? For example, with healthcare. But it is what it is. So, scroll down. I think he said more. No, he didn't. Anyway, the other thing that I wanted to mention is calling people Nazis and fascists where you idiots lost a ton of votes. No. I think the problem is when the Democratic Party says Trump is a fascist while or Trump is garbage, while simultaneously running towards the Republican Party and parading fucking dyed-in-the-wool fascists like Liz Cheney, saying that like the Republican Party is fascist and that's why we have to do their policy on the border is something so inconsistent, so idiotic that even the dumbest person on the fucking planet would look to that and go, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. That's hypocritical. What the fuck? You said the border was racist and now you're saying you want to do the border. I don't believe you. This is another thing that I have actually yelled about quite frequently. If you were paying attention to, my criticisms of the Democratic Party even before Kamala Harris and certainly after Kamala Harris was swapped out, this was one of those things that I was frustrated with. It's not necessarily calling them fascists as a problem. It's calling them fascists while simultaneously trying to do that fascism on your own. It's not as simple as free healthcare. We're bipartisan, so there has to be compromise. Why? Bipartisanship for the sake of bipartisanship is idiotic. Republicans never look for bipartisan compromise when they do tax cuts. They never look for bipartisan compromise when they do deregulation. Why is it that it's always bipartisanship for the sake of it in and of itself? If there's a situation where one party is offering free healthcare and the other party is saying, nah, not for me, if you want that personally, and you said you want to fix it and you said you want it, why would you ever be like, yeah, I want bipartisan compromise? If it's something that we can afford, which we certainly can in the United States of America, why the fuck would you ever say, oh, I just want bipartisanship for the sake of bipartisanship? And I know you said nothing is free. I already knew that you were going to say that, which is why I presented the alternative as I presented to you that talking point before you fucking typed it out after Googling a little bit and then gave you a counter to the nothing is free. I know it's paid for by taxes. You'd be paying a lot less than you currently do for your health care. Anyway, the point is a lot of people don't actually think about policies. A lot of people don't actually think about even demanding that their elected representatives push for certain policies that they're interested in. Okay? Oh, there's also another realignment occurring in blue states that I'm actually very frustrated by. Dare I say terrified of. And that is the blue states becoming redder. That's also terrifying. Look at the ballot measures in places like California.